Colorado Gives Day has transformed philanthropy in Colorado, but the organization behind it, the Colorado Gives Foundation, has an amazing impact that goes well beyond this single event, helping people in all corners of Colorado through investing, giving, advising, and more, as Executive Director Kelly Dunkin explains on this episode of Making Our World Better.
Welcome to the Making Our World Better podcast, where you will find motivation and encouragement through lively conversations with inspirational people who every day are making our world a better place. Now, here's your host, Jay Clark.
Welcome to the podcast. I am thrilled to have a conversation with Kelly Dunkin, President and CEO of the Colorado Gives Foundation, formerly the Community First Foundation. Kelly joined the Colorado Gives Foundation in 2019 after previously serving a variety of nonprofit, business, and social impact organizations, including 11 years at the Colorado Health Foundation in Denver, where she grew into the role of Vice President of Philanthropy, and 10-10-10, where she served as National Director. 10-10-10 is a project of Colorado Nonprofit Development Center and inspires entrepreneurs to solve 10 wicked social problems. Kelly also served as a consultant for businesses, nonprofits, and social impact startups, as well as projects in Lima, Peru, awesome, where she developed her Spanish language skills, which I'm sure are very useful still. Kelly's education includes a Bachelor of Arts in English from Miami University, an elementary education licensure from the University of Northern Colorado, go Bears, and a Master of Public Administration from the University of Colorado at Denver. Can't bring myself to say go Buffs, but she's a member of the Jeffco Economic Development Council Board, the Denver Metro Leadership Foundation Board, and the SCL Health Regional Board. I'm grateful she takes some time to talk to us about Colorado Gives Foundation. Kelly, welcome and thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for the opportunity, Jay. It's great to join you.
Well, I would love for you to start off simple and just tell us about the Colorado Gives Foundation for people that don't know anything about it.
I would love to do that. So at the Colorado Gives Foundation, our purpose is to make good happen. And we do that by connecting people, ideas, and nonprofits. So what that means is that we invite individuals who might be donors to give to nonprofits that they care about in a variety of ways. So first, they can do it through the online giving platform, Colorado Gives 365. You can make a donation starting at $5 up to as much as you want to give to any of the nonprofits that are on the site. We also offer some other giving products for donors, individuals, corporations, organizations. The term of art is a donor advised fund. I think of it as a charitable giving account. Yep. So a donor can open a charitable giving account with us, a donor advised fund. We hold that fund, and then they advise us on where they want to make grants from that fund. And if they need help creating their giving strategy, we're here to help them do that. We also recognize that many nonprofits find themselves in a very lucky position where they can create an endowment for their long-term sustainability, but they might not have that financial expertise on staff or even on their board. So they can ask us to hold their endowment, and then we'll invest that endowment on their behalf, and they decide what they want their spending policy to be. So that's what we do for the donors at Colorado Gives Foundation. And then on the other side of the house, with our discretionary funds, we make grants to ensure that all of Jeffco is thriving. So I always say we are a Jeffco grant maker, but we build the capacity of donors and nonprofits statewide through Colorado Gives 365 and our donor services.
That is awesome. And if you wouldn't mind, could you give us a little bit of history? I know y'all just went through a cool new rebrand, but give us a little bit of history of the organization and how this all formed to get where you are today.
One of the things I always joke and say, we're a young community foundation with a long history. So we actually started in 1975. We were the Lutheran Medical Center Foundation. So we were the fundraising arm for the Lutheran Medical Center. Then through some evolutions over the years, we transitioned out of the Lutheran Medical Center to become LMC Foundation. And then we transitioned to become Community First Foundation. And our next rebranding was as the Colorado Gives Foundation. So we've been serving in Jeffco since 1975 in a variety of formats, if you will, or a variety of forms as a foundation. And we were also part of the Exempla Health System. So for a while, we were in a joint venture with Sisters of Charity of Leavenworth, SCL. for the governance of at the time, Exempla Health System, which was Lutheran Medical Center, St. Joseph Hospital, and Good Samaritan Hospital. And so recognizing that we were probably not who should be managing hospitals, we transferred our governance rights to the Sisters of Charity of Leavenworth, since that was their core business. And in return, they endowed us with about $250 million.
Wow.
And with that money, we continue to grow it, and we use that to fund our operations and our grant making in JEPCO.
Well, what's so cool about that to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the foundation starts with its own money, and you learn along the way how to manage all this, learn a ton of lessons, get really good at it. And then it reaches the point where it's like, hey, we can do this for other people. We can be your back office, so to say. If you've got a fund and you don't want to do the day-to-day grind of managing it, growing up, we know how to do that, and we can do it for you.
Yeah, we always think a lot of time entrepreneurs will have a business, they sell that business, they have that, what you call a liquidity event, and they think they want to do charitable work and they want to create a foundation, but creating that foundation is really starting another business. Right. And so a lot of times you can just create the fund. We can handle all the accounting part of it, the investing part of it, and you as the donor get the easy and joyful part of giving. You get to actually decide where you want to give, develop your strategy, and then make grants to support it. That's
fantastic. And now you're doing this for people all over the state, right?
Correct. Yes.
That is so fantastic. And I love the new branding because it really probably stems from, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Colorado Gives Day, which is what you guys oversee, which to me has been the single most transformative thing in philanthropy in Colorado ever. So I'd love for you to just talk about Colorado Gives Day and the impact that it has now on philanthropy in Colorado.
I am lucky enough to get to be a part of it. So all kudos go to the CEOs and the staff who came before me, because what they built is truly incredible. And so Colorado Gives.org, the online giving platform that we now call Colorado Gives 365, it started in 2007. And so I always like to remind people that was the year the very first iPhone came out. People were still renting movies from Blockbuster.
Right.
So people weren't really shopping online, let alone making donations online. But the people at Community First Foundation at the time recognized that things were going to go to online fundraising, and it was going to be really expensive for all of these nonprofits to have to create infrastructure. So they decided they would create the infrastructure on their behalf, and they launched the giving platform. At the time, it was called Giving First. Yep. It became coloradogives.org. So they launched the giving platform. And then we used that giving platform to host the very first Colorado Gives Day, which was in 2010. That was the first Colorado Gives Day. And that year they thought, okay, we're going to do Colorado Gives Day. We're going to make this huge day of giving. We think we can raise $1 million. And $8 million was raised.
$8 million. That's so awesome.
So that was the very first year they raised $8 million. Legend has it that the board thought the staff messed up. They were like checking the books. They were checking the numbers. It can't be right. But it was absolutely correct.
It's like, hey, I think we're on to something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow.
And First Bank has been our partner. They believed in it from the very beginning. Yep. They've been our presenting sponsor of Colorado Gives Day since the beginning. And so since that time, it's grown just about every single year. Yeah. And last year in 2022, Colorado donors donated $53 million in support. Yes. And we now have over 3,400 nonprofits on the site. So 34 Amazing. Nonprofits that are serving Colorado. Yep. They are really the engines behind the day. The marketing they do on behalf of the day to their donors, to new donors is really incredible. And what we also saw, so our biggest day was in 2021. We got that pandemic boost, $55 million. So last year was great. $53 million is absolutely phenomenal. But what we saw last year that was really incredible was a growth in the number of donors. So over 100,000 donors gave to nonprofits on Colorado Gives Day in 2023. Yeah, really, really phenomenal.
Well, I can't think of a nonprofit out there, an operating nonprofit, where Colorado Gives Day is now not a fundamental part of their annual marketing plan and annual fundraising plan, which again speaks to where, how this has become such a critical piece for what happens. But from your guys' standpoint, this is just one program of several different programs that you run.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the most well-known. So you had alluded to this when you talked about changing our name.
Yeah.
What we found is every time I introduce myself, I'd have to say, oh, I'm Kelly Dunkin. Where do you work? I work at Community First Foundation. I'd be met with a blank stare. And then I'd say, you ever heard of Colorado Gives Day? Oh, yeah, I've heard of Colorado Gives Day. So we joke that we've just taken 30 seconds off every introduction. But really, what we've done is we're building on that brand recognition and that brand trust we have in Colorado Gives. And we think it provides a bigger invitation for more individuals or corporations to find us and to work with us, because our tagline for Colorado Gives Foundation is it's good for everyone. And we really do believe we have something for everyone. Whether you're the $5 donor, we've got an online giving site where you can give $5 to the nonprofit you care about. If you happen to be incredibly lucky and you have sold a business, you have a liquidity event, you want to put some of that money towards good, we can help you create giving vehicles that allow you to give back to the community who helped you build a successful business. Or if you are a donor who doesn't have any heirs, but wants to leave something to nonprofits, we can help you create a legacy gift to a nonprofit or a nonprofit of your choice. So we got something for everyone. We've also got group giving options. So if you and your friends want to pool money to give to a cause you care about, we can help you do that as well.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah.
That's so great. Well, the technology piece of this must be super interesting because obviously, in 2007, you're growing and now you're at the point where 100,000 people are using the platform. So you've got, all the security protocols and everything else. And I'm sure First Bank plays a role in that. But how hard is it to manage all this technology that it takes to run this massive program?
We actually do a software as a service. So we had been using a platform for many, many years, and it was getting to the point where we were hearing requests from donors that we couldn't fulfill. We were hearing requests from nonprofits that we couldn't fulfill. And we wanted to make it a better user experience, both from the nonprofit side and from the donor side. Mm-hmm. So we did an RFP, we investigated some platforms. We thought about, should we build it ourselves? And there's a platform, a partner that we work with, Mighty Cause, who had a platform that was really, really nice. It makes it really easy to use. And so we decided to use their platform. So we rely on them to run the platform. And then we manage the day-to-day, making sure we vet and get all those nonprofits on the site. So one of the things we think we provide for donors is a really easy way to give to the causes you care about in one place. And we give donors assurance that those are verified nonprofits. So we verify every single one of them, make sure they have their IRS designation as a 501c3 organization. We also do a check with the Secretary of State to make sure they're in good standing with the Secretary of State. So we know that donors are not going to get duped into giving to something that isn't a bona fide charity. So we do that for them. And then we also work with that partner, Mighty Cause. We have a lot of security that goes on to make sure that donors feel safe giving through the site.
When somebody comes to you and says, okay, I've got this liquidity event, I want you to help me manage this, you also have to be able to help them with the vetting of where they're giving to. So they're like, I want to give to, homelessness that's impacting youth. You probably can help them with the vetting process of where they can give that money.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. That's our core competency, is to identify where someone wants to make a difference and help design a strategy around that. And because we're in relationship with more nonprofits than any organization in the state, we can find something for everyone, whether it's by zip code that you care about giving, whether it's by cause, whether it's by size and history of organization, whether it's looking at multiple organizations that are touching a different part of the continuum of a problem. We can help with all of that.
So that has to be such a huge advantage, just a great way to leverage it. It's all kind of a circle, man, right? Because you've got Colorado Gives Day where you get all these relationships with the nonprofits, and you can take that and provide that incredible service to these donors.
Yeah. The other thing we think we do for nonprofits, we were talking about the technology and the new site. The new site is really easy to use. But we've
Fabulous.
also found that we've invested a lot in the site, and it does everything that almost any other online fundraising site does, but it's free. We make it absolutely free to any nonprofit in Colorado. So what we're trying to do is let those small to medium-sized nonprofits who don't have huge donor databases, let them know all of the bells and whistles on the Colorado Gives 365 platform so that they can use it for free. The only amount of money that will ever come out of a donation is the payment processing fee. And that's 2.05%, which is incredibly low, lower than a nonprofit typically can get on their own. And we do ask donors if they're interested in covering the administrative fee. So the full administrative fee is 3.99%. We find that 96% of donors say, yeah, we'll cover that on behalf of the nonprofit.
That's awesome.
96%. And then if the donor says, no, I don't want to cover that fee, and that is absolutely their choice, we eat the part that they don't cover and just take out that payment processing because, Visa and MasterCard and all the payment processors, they always get their little bit.
It had to be interesting for you, the timing of when you joined the organization. So you joined the organization, and within months, you're in a situation that nobody could ever even dream of. So what was it like for you? All of a sudden you hit the pandemic, and you guys really had to provide a lifeline for nonprofits through the pandemic.
I think it really crystallized our purpose of connecting people, ideas, and nonprofits, and that we as an organization are in service. We're in service to the nonprofits that we work with. We're in service to the donors that we work with. And so when the pandemic hit, I remember in March, we had just kicked off our strategic planning process. So we had done a board retreat, sort of kicked off the planning process, and we got to March. We thought, what are we going to do? Like, do we halt this thing? Do we keep going? We opted to keep going, which turned out to be the best thing that we could have done. So we completed our strategic planning process through the pandemic. We're able to get really clear on who we were, what we wanted to do, and how we wanted to do it. And along the way, we were also trying some things to support nonprofits in the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, we knew that nonprofits were going to take a huge hit. Either they were going to see a huge increase in demand for their services, or we were going to look at those that were arts organizations who relied on ticket revenue to keep their doors open, and they weren't going to be able to do that. So we stood up the Jeffco Hope Fund immediately to provide ongoing financial support for Jeffco serving nonprofits to make sure that they could weather the pandemic. And then we would offer opportunities for donors if they wanted to give, knowing that sometimes it can be overwhelming. I want to give, but I don't know who I want to give to. I want to make a difference. So we could ask them to give to this fund, and then we would make the grants from that fund on their behalf.
So what would be a big, audacious goal that you guys have moving forward as, one of the flagship nonprofits in Colorado?
I think our big, audacious goal is that the Colorado Gives 365 giving platform becomes the place that donors go when they want to give to nonprofit organizations in Colorado. We want that to happen. And two, we would love to be able to double the impact that we're currently having in Jeffco. And that's going to require us to raise more funds to fund the work that we're doing at Jeffco. So I think those are our two big audacious goals. One, become the place to go for online giving for any donor in Colorado. And two, really double that impact we're having in Jeffco so that all of Jeffco's thriving.
Well, I love it because just like you were saying before, a small nonprofit doesn't have the resources, the bandwidth, or really the need to have that infrastructure. And you guys can provide it for nothing.
Yes, we want people to take advantage of the investment that we've made in the platform. And we also really think about both the nonprofits and the donors as part of the customer base. So what when we hear from donors, the things that they want, we try to make those upgrades to the platform to make that giving experience even better. And then we'll hear from nonprofits on things that would make it easier for them to use the platform or for them to connect with donors. And we try to engage and improve the platform in that way too.
What is it that really keeps you excited about what you guys are doing?
Everything.
Everything. That's
I
a great
feel
answer.
so lucky to get to do what I do. I love that we have really democratized giving, if you will. We've made it accessible to just about everyone.
True. That's a great way. I've never heard it put that way. That's very well said.
So I love that. I love that we can find ways to engage donors to give to the causes they care about, whether it's opening a fund with us or giving to the impact funds that we've created. Love that. Yep. I love that we're supporting nonprofits and helping to build their long-term sustainability with the endowments that we offer. And then I really love the grant making and impact investing we're doing in Jeffco. So one of the things we committed to as a community foundation is listening. If we're really going to make a difference in Jeffco, we need to listen to understand what are the issues that the community cares about, what are the problems they want to solve, and how can we help be a part of taking opportunities and bringing them to life or helping to solve some of those problems. And so one of the things that we recently heard last 2 years, can't go anywhere without hearing about how housing prices have increased so dramatically that it's making it really hard for Jeffco residents to live where they work. So we just seeded a fund. We call it the Bring It Home Fund. We seeded it with $15 million, and we use that to invest in the preservation or the building of affordable workforce housing in Jefferson County. And we're inviting donors to help us grow that fund because while 15 million is a lot, it pales in comparison to the scope of the problem. So we're creating what we're calling impact donor advised funds. So the way this will work is a corporation, an individual can open a donor advised fund. It's a little bit pricey. It's at $25,000. But once they open that fund, we'll invest it in our Bring It Home Fund. As we get returns from our investments, we'll return it to the donor advised fund. And then that donor can decide what to do with it next, make grants from it, invest it again in another impact investment. So that's one option. And then we also just created a Bring It Home Fund that anyone can donate to from $5 to however much they want. And we'll just also invest that money in the preservation and building of workforce housing.
That is super innovative. I love it. And, I think about all the nonprofits that you help and having been on the side where Colorado Gives Day has been a big part of marketing plans, have brought people together with nonprofits that otherwise would have never connected. So I think your impact goes beyond anything that you realize, which is awesome. But I'll change gears a little bit here as we wind down. And one of the questions I always love to ask is, what is something that you will read, listen to, or watch today?
I'm reading a book, Killers of the Flower Moon. So I will definitely read that. Really enjoying that. They just made it a movie too. Martin Scorsese was the director, and I've heard the movie is phenomenal, but I want to read the book before I see the movie. So I'm definitely going to read that today. And then I will probably watch, we just finished Ted Lasso, but I'm finishing The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. So if there's time tonight, I'll watch an episode of that.
Nice. I bawled my eyes out with Ted Lasso. I'm total Ted Lasso.
Oh, yeah, me too. It was so good.
It was so
good.
I
was sad. I feel like I'm losing friends.
I know. It's the truth. Well, and speaking of Ted Lasso, what are some, I would say, what are bedrock leadership principles that you lean on when leading this awesomely huge and wonderful organization?
I think I'm in service. If our organization is in service to the greater community, I'm in service both to the greater community and the individuals who choose to work here. We're very, very lucky that they choose to work here. So I find that in addition to engaging with the community, one of the biggest roles I have is to work with our team to create a culture that's inclusive of people who work here, that we honor the uniqueness that each individual brings and gives them a place where they belong. So I think about the culture that we're building and that we're sustaining every single day. That's a leadership principle that I lean on, and that everything I do is a demonstration of whether I'm integrous with the things that I say I value and the things that I want our organization to value. So I hold myself to a very high standard on living our values and demonstrating them daily. And then I think the third thing is I should be able to jump in and do whatever needs to be done to get the work done. So I am no more important than anyone else on our team. And if someone needs a little help to get something over the finish line, I'm going to jump in and help.
That's a great answer, and I hope all the nonprofit leaders listening are taking good notes. That's as good an answer to that question as I've ever heard. So who has been a role model for you throughout your career, or role models, I should say?
I think my dad. So my dad is CPA. He had his own company, and then he ended up becoming a chief financial officer for a privately held company, and then helped turn that company into an employee-owned co-op. And so I think what I learned most from my dad is the value of hard work, and that nothing worth having comes easily, and you should be willing to work at it. And perfection is highly overrated, but learning is the key. So as long as you continually learn and are continually trying to improve, that's going to get you very far. And make sure you like what you're doing. Life can be pretty difficult. And if you are privileged enough to get to choose a profession, choose one that you enjoy, and make sure that you're giving back, because that's the rent we pay for this life we have on earth.
Oh, that's a great answer. Love it all. And another masterclass that I hope everybody's taking notes. Last one, if anybody wants to learn more about Colorado Gives Foundation, consider becoming a partner as a nonprofit. What's the best way to find you guys and learn more?
Absolutely. Our website is coloradogivesfoundation.org. As you're looking through it, there's multiple ways you can connect with us. Or if you want to reach out to me, it's K Dunkin, Dunkin spelled like Dunkin' Donuts. So KDUNKIN at coloradogivesfoundation.org. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to find ways that we can work together to make good happen, because that's what we're here for.
And this year, let's not forget, when is Colorado Gives Day?
This year, it's December 5th. But as every year, early giving begins November 1st. So from November 1st to December 5th, go to coloradogives.org, and you can find your favorite nonprofit or nonprofits and make donations to support them on Colorado Gives Day.
And it is one of the easiest ways to give, but it helps. Like I say, the reach of it goes far beyond what I'm sure you realize. So encourage everybody to do that. I love the work that you guys are doing. Good luck. Keep up the great work. And thanks again for being here.
Oh, Jay, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks for listening. And thanks to Kelly for sharing her passion and excitement for the Colorado Gives Foundation. This podcast was brought to you by JC Charity Services. Being a nonprofit leader is hard, and I can help you thrive. You can find me at makingourworldbetter.com. To learn more about the Colorado Gives Foundation, visit coloradogivesfoundation.org. Check the show notes for links, and if you enjoyed this podcast, we'd be grateful if you'd share it with a friend. Until next time, I hope you're inspired to make our world better.